Yeah. And then let's call on the angels. Yeah, like I want to call on the angels. Okay. Divine Mother, please wrap us in your healing light and your love, your compassion, your warmth, and your grace. Support us in our endeavors and all that we're doing and bringing into the world. Support our creativity and the way that we serve others, the ways we serve others. Please send us your thrones to support us in our daily lives and to keep us surrounded with the angels and the uplifting energy of the divine feminine. Heavenly Father, please send us your principalities to strengthen our light or bolster our light and help us to attune to you and to be in what at one moment with Great Spirit. Great Spirit, Holy Spirit, Divine Spirit, please fill us up with your light and your love and help us in every way in our lives. Help us emanate that beautiful light of the Holy Spirit. Angels, please surround us and protect us and uplift us, surround us and our pets and our loved ones, fill our offices and our workspaces and surround us with the angels and help us bring that angelic like safety and protection and energy with us wherever we go. Archangels, please help us, with our creativity and our writing. Please help us. I'm trying to think of which archangel, which might be I'll have to look that up, like which ones are more like creativity angels, but definitely help us, archangels, with all the different things we're doing in our lives, with the creative work and the service work that we do. Um, any other angels? Let's call on Haniel. Please help us with the spiritual work, Haniel, the moon work, and our intuition, and perhaps you are affiliated with creativity too, Haniel, and I know you're affiliated with joy. Please come and be with Angie and I tonight. And cherubim and seraphim, please surround us and uplift us with your beautiful music and healing tones. Help us vibrate at our unique frequency so that we radiate our unique energy and our creativity. We're able to express our unique sense of self. And let's see, virtues, please come and support us in whatever aspect of the virtues that we're seeking help in. And dominions, please guide us in our astrological and spiritual work tonight. And powers, please come and surround us and help us with our physical health and healing and be as strong and vibrant, as healthy as we can be. Thank you so much, angels and Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, and Great Spirit. Amen.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Angie.
I ended up just taking my video down just in case you need me to kind of like we
Oh,
did last.
okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, that helps. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
It's a beautiful prayer though. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, interesting. Okay. So this week we got a lot of exciting things. We've got the summer solstice coming on Friday. Um, and so I thought that was kind of the main highlight of the week um, was having the summer solstice. And so I'll primarily talk about that, although um, so that's a feature of the week, summer solstice, although I'll talk about the moon as well. Um, I I always try to ask myself why I'm doing this or why I think we're doing this work. And I mean, this goes to subjects we've talked about, but doing the soul garden work, attuning to, okay, I guess, the question is why do we attune to the moon and why do we attune to the sun, the solar, the seasons? And I do think it is about coming back to the self and the soul, like return. There's something so grounding and recentering about like putting your attention back to when I go back in the garden and meditate in the morning, or I've noticed I've started meditating on my porch because there's a table there. But I realized this evening just before class, I was like, oh, I feel really out of touch with the garden because when I sit and meditate in the garden every day, I see the birds and right now there's a lot of big black bumblebees in the garden. You know what I mean? I actually see whether the plants are growing or whether they need water. I just, it gives me a lot more close contact with that. So maybe tomorrow I'll start that again. But because I was doing it up till like a week or two ago. Um, anyway, the soul gardening work I find brings helps me to get recentered and helps me get in alignment. So, and then there's the balance with the moon wheel and also, so on one hand, attunement is about kind of the harmony with these rhythms. Um, Alignment, these are kind of different words of the same concept, but alignment with our higher self and to me, this is a process of attuning to our higher self, our superconscious self. And then it's also um, a process of at one-ment of uh, it's we feel like we're not at one with God and the cosmos, but truly we are one with God and the cosmos. And to me, the moon work and the solar work, the soul garden work, the seasonal work helps me to tap into that sense of oneness, how our unfolding is in harmony with kind of the unfolding of the universe and the unfolding of nature and the earth. We really experience it here on earth, through nature really well. But I mean, I suppose if you lived in a city, you would feel the different rhythms of the city and you would still feel that seasonal, rhythm, that movement. So for me, these are the reasons why I do this work. So we have a couple features this week. Um, the sun and moon, these are kind of the activity of the sun and moon, not all the astrological aspects, but the kind of major things going on. We got a last quarter moon in Pisces on Wednesday. It's pretty late. I don't know if you've noticed, but the moons are moving super slow right now. So you'll look at it and you'll be like, the next day it didn't change very much, and you're like, what? So there've been really long periods between like each quarter. But so the last quarter moon is on Wednesday this week at 12:19 p.m. I think that's because this last full moon was at the solar, no, the lunar minimum or something like that. It was like as far south as it's going to be for the next 40 years. I think that's why we're seeing such long phases. Um, anyway, last quarter moon in Pisces this week. Then this is the last week of the sun in Gemini, the last week of spring. Um, I love spring and I love this build up to summer solstice, but I have to say I'm really tired. I have been, there's a part of me that's really needed to rest and to take things off my plate. And yet I've been feeling this excited energy of summer and wanting to put all these things in motion. And so I'm really looking forward to summer solstice, which is on Friday. Like just the switch. I'm like attempting to convince myself right now that I can take some time off and maybe switch gears from the quick pace of the spring. And I'll talk a little more about that later. But so we've got the summer solstice on Friday. And then this is the whole year, starting in January 11th, the North Node was at 0 degrees Aries and moved back into Pisces. So we've got this North Node energy for the next year at least. And so the North Node in Pisces it's interesting because all this other energy is moving into Aries right now. But then we've got the North Node, which is kind of the soul's path, moving into Pisces, and it wants us to embrace intuition and imagination, flow, and divine timing, to trust the unseen, dissolve rigid boundaries, and live from your heart and spirit. Like it's a lot more, it's less material, and much more spiritually focused node right now. So we have this interesting interplay of like, I think desire for spiritual growth and the maybe spiritual development and at the same time with this like new beginning energy that's like totally feels so different than we've been in for the last 10 to 14 years. I'm talking about Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries. But anyway, and then there's going just to kind of get a peek of the next week. There's a beautiful, scrumptious new moon in Cancer. It is like the moon conjoins with when it lines up in the sky with Jupiter like 1 hour before the new moon. So it's going to have this, it's going to be like a very expansive Cancer new moon, and Cancer moons. It's considered the most fertile as far as gardening is concerned, the moon sign, because it's ruled by the moon, and it's a very nurturing moon. And so I'm excited for this new moon that's coming next week, um, because I think it'll have a like Jupiter is expansive and makes everything bigger. So it'll amplify the qualities of the Cancerian qualities, the Cancer, for the both the positive and negative, but it'll amplify those Cancerian qualities. But it's a great time to plant those seeds and intentions next week on that Wednesday morning. Okay, my slide did not move. Okay, so we are we're at the peak of the solar curve. So down here is winter solstice you know, um, at the nadir of it. We have the winter solstice. I think, those are the shortest days. The shortest day is the winter solstice. Now we have the longest day on Friday, the summer solstice, and this bottom part of the chart, shows the line when it goes through that. These are like long nights and short days, like there's less light. And then at the spring equinox, it switches where we have longer days and longer. And now we've got these really long days. And then at summer solstice, we see the energy switch, for the days will start getting shorter again, till winter solstice. In the northern hemisphere, the summer solstice marks the peak of what I call the involutionary energy and a shift towards the three harvests. So there's a harvest on August 2nd, Lughnasadh, Lammas, a harvest on the autumnal equinox, and then a third harvest at the Scorpio gate, which is around, oh, well, it's around when Halloween is. So we're kind of I don't know if setup's the right word, but we're at the shift of energy of starting to bring things to fruition. And so involution describes like a spiritual energy coming into form. And so if you ever do creative work, to me, creativity explains to me how involution works. Because for me, I'll get a creative, like a little spark or an idea, and then that's like seems to start the involutionary process. It's involving. Um, and then you think about it again and it gets a little more, and then you maybe make an outline or you do a sketch and it gets even more clear until finally you have this thing that you've made or written or done. And it starts with kind of this little impulse of an idea. And that's what involution on a spiritual level is like that. You kind of maybe have a dream or just an inkling to make a change in your life for growth or anything really. And if you focus on it and keep developing it like you would an art piece, eventually you make it material. And so I think of the summer solstice as the involutionary moment. The energy shifts from the nature spirit energy, which is that active energy where you see just the fast pace of movement. As soon as you hit the spring equinox, you can kind of feel it building, and then you just have fast, 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 fast. Like if you are a gardener, you'll see that things change at the spring equinox and they just start moving faster and faster. And the garden will go through these phases really fast. It's like little grasses one day, and then you go out a week later, it's like, oh, these plants are here. And then all of a sudden you're in Taurus time and you've got flowers everywhere, and then it's really green and it moves really fast. And what happens in the garden at the summer solstice is the energy slows down, or it just doesn't move. It moves differently. It doesn't move at that fast pace of obvious change, you know, at least here in Sedona. But I've seen this in other places I've lived. What happens is the plants hit a point where they are attempting the vegetative state or whatever, where they're trying to just gather enough energy, gather enough water to do the reproductive cycle, to have flowers and to create fruits and all that. Um, and so, it's not moving quickly like it is through those early phases of like the sprout and the seedling and all that stuff. That's a really fast period that we see between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. And then we have this hopefully slower, I'm saying that this year has been so turbulent and busy with kind of the external world. With there's a lot of change in the heavens in the astrology, but we see that, right, as above so below. We see so much change in the world around us. I'm hoping that we have a little bit of a respite from it starting at the summer solstice, at least for the 6 weeks until Lunisad. Hopefully, I mean, most if you work in education, you're going back to school, in August, but hopefully you can have a little more rest until the autumnal equinox. But I'm hopeful. I'm thinking as I prepared this today, I was like, I better, rethink some of my summer plans so that I can make sure I get a rest. Because this is something I've learned with this soul gardener work. If you don't take a rest in the summer, and the winter, you need these two periods of rest in the year. You need the rest period in the fall and the winter to rejuvenate, especially on a soul level. And in the summer, you really need the rest kind of to like It's like almost like filling up your battery or something. You just need to refill your energy, go to the creek, go to the water park, go to the ocean, whatever it is. I think water, because it's cancer, like refill yourself, like take the opportunities to refill yourself when you have them so that once you hit, like I say, August or that turning point, there's a turning point in August 2nd and beyond, you're back to the busyness of fall and it just gets busier and busier until Christmas. So, and the spring is like that too. It seems like it's like quiet, right? Quiet, 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 and then all of a sudden the speed accelerates. And that's how I felt this last week was just everything was moving so fast. And I don't even think I took a break this week. Like I somehow ended up working every day, and that's on me for choosing that. But I'm like, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. So, um, anyway, I think that's a little bit characteristic of this season. So summer, some of these things I said already, but I'll look at what this and see what I missed. Summer solstice is on Friday, June 20th this year. I don't know if, oh, I put the time on a slide earlier. It's in the evening. Oh no, yeah, it's at 7:42 p.m. The energy will shift significantly in summer mode. If you're sensitive to nature or the garden, you'll feel the shift between this kind of like, I don't know, sparkly, movementy, nature spirit energy. You could just see it out there with the bees and the bugs and the birds and it'll shift and it'll get a little quieter. If you follow, um, what's it called? Soilless gardening with Michelle Wright. She has a Paralandra garden. She talks about this nature spirit times and then the Davic times. We're going to move into the Davic period again. So I'll just show you winter starting on December 21st around there, winter solstice to spring solstice. That's a Davic time, which has to do with more like the etheric blueprint energy. And then it switches to a nature spirit time from the spring equinox to the summer solstice. So that's what we've been experiencing, this just like fast upbuilding energy of kind of the world around us. We've planted our seeds and everything's like growing so fast. And then that's that feeling of those nature spirits like supporting you and creating all these things. Then at the summer solstice, it switches back to the Davic energy. It has a slight, it's the same Davic energy, but it has a slightly different function in the summer, in my opinion. In the winter, it's a lot about setting the energy of what your year is going to be like. And in the summer, it has more to do with the harvest. Um, I've noticed over the years of really trying to tap into like, what's this energy at summer solstice? You get kind of an overview. You can kind of see like what are the different things I have going. So let's just go back to the garden metaphor. Say you planted a bunch of different things in your garden. So my garden has strawberries and it has cantaloupe and it has watermelon and it has flowers and trees and this and that and the other. At the summer, let's just say they live through the spring. At the summer solstice, you have all these different possibilities, just like all these different plants. Some of them, if you keep watering them and tending them and cultivate them, maybe they'll all come to fruition. But some of them might like come to fruition and some won't come to fruition. And weird things happen. You think you've got it all under control and then weird, I mean, I'm using the garden as an analogy, but weird things happen. Like one year in the summer, I had all these plants and this was in Flagstaff, but all my plants were like mutilated by hailstorms. And so a couple of my plants lived, and some of them were just decimated by hail. And another year, I had some plants that I was doing this soul gardening method with, and they were, I was living in an apartment which was on the north side, so they weren't getting a lot of light. And then I took it outside and it was eaten by grasshoppers. And then finally, okay, this was interesting to me. I took it to my husband's apartment. Now, he was my boyfriend at the time. He lived on the south side and it grew and flourished. So, how it all plays out, you don't, I guess what I'm saying is it's like you have this psychic moment at the summer solstice where you see all the different timelines and all the different possibilities. But as you go through the summer and into the harvest season, not all of those possibilities come to fruition. And so that's kind of like it's like this open field of possibilities at summer solstice, um, which I think is interesting. And then as you move through the summer, from first harvest, there's kind of a turning point, and then each harvest, there's first harvest around August 8th, and then around September 21st. It says September 24th here. That was in 2023. These harvests start to solidify the energy, right? The year culminates with the harvest, the gardening year at least, and the energy gets fixed or concretized, cemented with that energy. So at the end of the year, of course, you can look back and go, oh, this is what happened. But at this apex moment of the year, not all of those things are in stone. And if you're into kind of the mystery of spirit, sometimes you've planted seeds that you don't remember. I'm talking again metaphorically, and things will come to fruition in the harvest time, in the fall, in the late summer and the fall, that you were not anticipating, that you forgot about, or you weren't anticipating. And they can be wonderful opportunities. So just know that there's a field of possibilities with the summer solstice. Um, and tap into it. So I would say, if I didn't put this somewhere else in that slideshow, take time if you can on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. The solstice is on Friday, but Thursday, the sun appears to stand still for 3 days. So Thursday it will look like it'll be in that farthest north point for those of us in the northern hemisphere. And Friday it'll be there, and then Saturday it'll be there. So if you can, take time all those days or at least one of those days to get in that silent place where you can just tap into that stillness. Like, solstice means sun stands still. So get, just get in that stillness of the solstice and it will kind of reset you to this shifting into the summer energy. Oh, here, see, I got it. I keep anticipating my slides, but here it is. Solstice, the summer solstice, solstice means soul, the sun, stand still. So if possible, focus on slowing down or standing still at the solstice. I would say slow down for the first 6 weeks of summer, if possible. Like take a summer break, take a vacation, take long weekends. I'm saying this, but I need to take this advice. As I'm giving it, I feel I'm like struggling with taking things off of my plate. I mean, I'm in a good position that I can do that, but like I really need to take this advice and slow down and rejuvenate and recreate and all those things that refill us. That's a really critically important time in the summer to refill ourselves so that we can have the health and the life vitality and everything going back into the fall. Um, okay, so I already told you the plant. Okay, for the next 6 weeks, it's a time of watering and cultivating. So this is in the garden. So kind of what happens, like I said, if you follow gardening, you've planted your seeds, you've added the compost, you've added the fertilizer, your plants hit a point at, as the vegetative stage where they don't actually need to have any more nutrients. They've already gathered all the nutrients they're going to get for that particular year cycle, and they just need water. And so this is true for us too. I think we need this time of, this, water recreation in the summer, um, just to refill us and to, whether that's drinking water, in the health program that I'm in a naturopathic program right now for healing my gut and stuff. Um, they're having a cold plunge challenge that started today, so it's all about the water. And so I think that's the stage that your garden will go into too, is that it just needs water in order to finish its harvest in the fall. And so I think I've got all that. So that's kind of the phase that we're moving into. Take time for play, like I said, take time for self-care. Those are Cancerian things. Take time to get enough water or get enough water. Cancer, I believe, also rules the stomach and the gut. So it's a great time to do, take care of yourself and your body, um, and your house. Cancer rules the domestic sphere, the home. It's a wonderful time to maybe do a staycation and stay home and just relax. Just, get peaceful, comfortable and cozy and restful in your home is probably sounds really nice too, actually. Um, anyway, so this is also some thoughts from the garden. So my husband and I grow a permaculture garden, which is slightly different than the way I grew up learning about gardening. When I was a kid, my mom would send me out to go pull the weeds. And, it's like, go pull the weeds. It's like this I grew up in Reno. It was hot like it is here in Sedona. You're like pulling the weeds out in the heat. It's hot and dry. Anyway, in types of permaculture gardening, you don't want to pull the roots out because it pulls the nutrients up and it disrupts the soil. So um, so if they're weeds, like I want to rethink that concept, but you would cut back anything that you didn't plant in your garden. So in our garden, we have a lot of grass and there's these other desert plants. This one on the left here is like a moth mullein. It's a really pretty flower. I don't plant those. They just show up in the garden. But if I didn't want them, I would cut them down at the ground level and then leave that plant in, if you can train yourself to do that, leave the plant in the garden so that it puts the nutrients back. It's a way of composting those nutrients back into the garden. That's how they grow food forests, that the human interaction is all about like cutting all these stuff and adding to the mulch and the composting action of the garden, like speeding that activity up. Um, anyways, so just the reason I put that is because what happens when you water the garden? Okay, what have seen over the last, let's say, 5 years of gardening and soul gardening is when I start watering in the spring, I do see that the things I've planted intentionally have grown. But also what happens is all the other things grow too, right? I mean, there's all kinds of things that I haven't planted in the garden that are growing. Like I said, we've got Bermuda grass and we've got these moth mulleins or these mullein plants. We've got all kinds of other things. And so on a subconscious level, so I'll go back to this metaphor of this, that is like seeing what's in your subconscious. So when you plant with the moon, when you do the seeding with the new moon, we're planting our intentions and we're planting our dreams. We're seeding our dreams. And as we water and cultivate them, those things are growing, but also the other things in our psyche also get that water and attention, and they start to sprout and grow as well. And so I used to be, I guess, resentful of the weeds, if you want to call them. I'm trying to reframe my my thinking about weeds. Like I don't think of them as weeds anymore. I think of them as the non-deliberate plants. Like I didn't plant those deliberately, but what are they telling me? So, in the garden, like I say, at this point, I just cut them. But, we have Scott got some seeds from in Italy. He got these what they're called, white it's not baby's breath, but anyway, whatever. They're white flowers, but they're growing everywhere. Like they overtake my strawberries and they grow everywhere. They're really pretty, but they take over everywhere. So I'm constantly like cutting them back and adding them back in and cutting them back. And that's kind of how the psyche is too. When we put positive energy, and I'm calling it the water here, into our psyche and we're cultivating our seeds, the stuff that we didn't know was in there will start growing too. And so that is, then we use the last quarter. I didn't put the last quarter image up here, but in the slides, but that's why we have the last quarter moon ritual where you do the releasing. It is like trimming that garden back so that you can continue to support and give the right nutrients to the plants that you're attempting to grow. So, like I say, I'm constantly out there cutting plants away from the There are like this is a little fertile area where I have strawberries, and there's like there's water, and then there's always these all these other plants growing up, horehound and these white flowers and all this stuff, and they're pretty, but like sometimes I'm like, okay, leave a little space for my strawberries. So anyway, so that's kind of how I think about traumatic patterns, or sometimes patterns that, some of them are more neutral, like, oh, you learn that about yourself, it's not that big of a deal. And some of them are maybe more painful and maybe cause more disruption. So what I see at the summer, this is again back to summer solstice. You really start to see at this point of the year what's growing in your garden. If you've been following the moon work and the soul gardening process, there's a lot of life right now. There's all this energy and life and everything's growing up. And so it's like definitely this is the cultivation part. Keep watering your garden because you want all your plants to grow, but there will be maybe an increased need to do the last quarter moon work, to do the cutting away, to not eliminate necessarily, but keep cutting back these non-deliberate plants and the things that are coming up. So keep trimming, okay, on a psychological level, keep trimming away these subconscious patterns that keep coming up for you. And then you will see over the months as we come to the harvest time, you will see a big shift in what comes to fruition for you, right? If you keep cutting back these, like I say, non-deliberate plants and putting them back as the compost in your garden, you're going to have excellent soil health. And then you'll have excellent growth in your other plants, the plants that you chose to plant as well. So that's kind of, and then what you're doing actually by doing that is really setting the garden up and the soil health for subsequent years. Like if you cut back all your weeds slash non-deliberate plants and you leave them in the garden to become part of that ecosystem, you're just creating excellent fertile soil for the future for yourself. So again, back to the metaphor, like that means as you continue to do this process, you're making your subconscious more and more fertile for everything that you want to bring into your life, everything that you want to manifest in your life. The process just gets more luscious, the more that you follow these rhythmical patterns. Let's see. Oh, I guess that's my last slide. For some reason I thought I had something else, but okay. So last quarter moon, I will I will send out a video for the last quarter moon ritual if you wanted. Yeah, if you're curious about what that is. And thank you very much. Recording for Barbara. Yeah, so I'm gonna pull a spirit, let's see, whatever these ones are called, the spirit card.
Okay.
And we'll see what kind of energy we got with this Cancer. It does mark a big seasonal shift. The Cancer ingress is, the way you would look at it from astrology, like to see what kind of energy, what's it going to be? What's going to, what kind of summer is it going to be? I think
Yeah.
we're going through so much
You're
change
going
this year.
from Gemini to Cancer. They're just so different,
They're
and
so different.
Gemini's just talking, talking, talking all the time and going and busy and just here and there. And the energy is so almost erratic. Uh,
Yeah.
and then Cancer is just so low key. It's just very different. So I'm looking forward to this too. I
Yeah,
am.
I know. I'm like, okay, I mean, the Gemini energy is fun, but I also am like, okay, yeah, I could use some inner quiet. I could use kind
Yeah,
of inner
me
quiet again.
too. I feel the
Yeah.
same way. Yeah.
And I put that card out. I put the spring to summer card out last week after we pulled the card because I was like, I think I need this now. I need this transitional card because I feel that transition from spring to summer.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like summer down here, but
It does here too. It's been
yeah,
really
yeah.
late. I've had to water almost every day.
Wow.
Well,
It
not
seems
every day,
like
every other
it
day.
wasn't like so hot in Flagstaff when I lived there. It seems like it's a lot hotter this last couple of
It
years.
has. It
Yeah.
has. For the past, I'd say 8 years. It's just increasingly gotten warmer.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I don't think I had to water. I don't know. June's so dry, so maybe, but
Yeah.
you definitely have to water a lot up there at this time of year. Okay.
Yeah, I remember when I first moved here, we hardly ever had a day over 85.
Oh
And
my
now
gosh.
there's a lot of days that are 90, 90, 95 even from last year.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see that. 95, that's hot for flight. Yeah, exactly. I know. I can't believe that it was 104 when I looked at my watch at, where my clock at.
Yeah.
Like 4 in the afternoon. I'm like, what? It's
Yeah.
like so hot. Ooh, oh, this is interesting. Okay. Well,
Yeah. Take it
we
away.
got we got air spirit, which is not what I was expecting, but we got air spirit, inspiration, breath, spaciousness. I wonder,
Okay.
can you see that? It's
Well,
hard
that's
to
kind of
see.
what we were talking about, and
Okay.
a
Oh
good
yeah.
time to go inside and listen and get silent and spacious and
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm curious. Yeah. Let's see what air spirit says. Okay.
and
Air spirit.
uh,
Inspiration, breath, spaciousness.
yeah.
Okay. It says there's magic in the air. Air is the closest element to spirit energy. Air spirit qualities include openness, spaciousness, inspiration, positivity, and lightness of being. To connect with these qualities and the power of this element, we need to look no further than our own breathing. Breathing is the single most powerful thing we can do to infuse and transform our lives with spirit. Air is the element more than any other with which we require a constant connection with to be alive. Breathing is our first action in this life, and breathing out will be the last thing we do. And even through breathing air in and out is, and even though breathing air in and out is the single most important thing we do in order to live, we often pay the least attention to it. As breath workers know, the way we breathe is directly connected to how we are showing up in the world and how things are showing up for us too. When our breathing is shallow, it indicates we are not allowing for all the abundance that is available to us to come fully into our lives. When we are unconsciously holding our breath and not exhaling completely and naturally, this indicates a hesitation to let things go and just trust the natural flow in our lives. Like this, the way we breathe is the way we live. Okay, message. Look up, out, and beyond any current situation that might be surrounding you today and breathe. Breathe in deeply, raising your awareness and vibration, bringing in new insights and inspiration. Feel the spaciousness around you and let it expand your mind and body, opening you to a higher and broader vision. Deep breathing practice. Close your eyes and take a deep breath, filling your lungs completely, beginning from your belly up through your heart center and up into your throat. Exhale from your mouth and completely relax your jaw and shoulders, letting any tension go. Let there be no gaps or pauses between the inhale and the exhale. Do this at least 3 times. Just this simple act of deep breathing will shift and uplift your thoughts and immediately realign you with spirit.
I love that. I mean, last night I was telling you, I was just, my thoughts were kind of racing and I was just really struggling with sleeping and I was tossing and turning and I started just to focus really on my breath, from seeing it come out and seeing it flow in from my nose and just taking longer and slower breaths. And it does really help, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, I do that. If I can't sleep, I do a couple different breathing techniques. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting because this is what your card said last week too. So apparently this is a message from the universe.
Yep.
Your card was about being calm and breathing and this one is too. And that's interesting because I was checking in with my body and I'm like, oh, I'm not really doing the full exhale. I take air in and then I kind of hold it and then
Yeah.
I'll let go slowly. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. Um, I had another thought just escaped me. I can't remember. But yeah, I've got, that's one of the next pieces of prose that I'm going to write is on air and
mm.
skies, air, and all of that. So it's interesting that came up too. It gave me some ideas,
Oh, I
June.
wondered because it sounded like something that you were writing about. This card,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and I think I will include breath in there too.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's great. And gosh, I cannot believe how windy it is at this time. It's crazy, but um, yeah, so thank you. That was great. I really enjoyed it, and
Oh,
I'm so
good. Thank you.
grateful to be here. Yeah. Um, trying to think. I was just writing down all this stuff. If it comes to me, I'll text
Okay. Okay.
you.
Cool.
Sorry.
Okay, that sounds good. No problem. Um, I'll do a. Barbara likes a prayer. I like to do. I'll
Oh
do
yeah.
prayer, and Barbara likes it too. So, okay. Just realign myself. Grandmother Earth, Grandfather Sky, power of the 4 directions, all of our ancestors, guides, and angels, we send a voice. Grandmother, grandfather, please help us to receive this wisdom about breathing and about reconnecting with our spirit and taking the time for ourselves to come back to that place of inner calm and stillness. We are at peace with this springtime and the spring as it transitions into summer. We're at peace with all the growth and the fast pace of our lives. We are at peace with all that is growing and coming to fruition. And we're at peace with the big transformative time that we're in this year. Help us to continue to gather that energy and life vitality and to strive to have the innocence to gather that fire of innocence so that we're always in a place of renewal and returning to a place of innocence. Grandmother, grandfather, um, please uh, support us this week. And we received a similar message last week from the Balance Oracle about being calm and how to deal with the chaos. And it sounds like this week's a little similar. I get the sense from this air card, this air spirit card, that this is important advice for us right now, that this is important wisdom for us to come back to our breath, to take time for our breathing, to take time to come back to ourselves and to put attention back into that vital force of breath as a recentering and a quieting and a calming force. Thank you, God, Great Spirit. Thank you, spirits, for your love and your wisdom. Thank you for this message from Air Spirit. And thank you for bringing us together this evening. Help us hunt and gather that breath and that life force. Help us hunt and gather um, that inner calm and that peacefulness. Help us hunt and gather both the taking in of energy and inspiration, and also the letting go and the trusting of the breath. Grandmother, grandfather, we say yes to breathing, and when we have time and opportunity this week, we will return to our breath and that place of inner stillness for the sake of the children and the children's children until the sun no longer sets and the moon no longer rises. Aho!
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Amy.
Yeah. I remembered what it was when you were praying.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking about, you know, I had all these summer plans I was going to do.
Uh-huh.
Little by little, there have been circumstances that have um they just haven't come to fruition, and I've had to cancel a lot of trips
Oh,
like that.
uh-huh.
But I'm totally okay with it. I feel like, that they came in a place where I wasn't ready to be away from home, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, yeah,
Like I need to be close to home this summer. And it's
yeah,
a beautiful thing. I love that,
yeah.
too.
Yeah,
So
that's nice. And you've got your kitties and like there's so
yes.
many great things. You've got your beautiful garden and I mean your house is totally gorgeous, you know.
Well, it's not really, it's just, I don't know, it just feels good to be at home and get
Yeah.
in that space. And like you said, just nurture the kitties and learn about them and grow with them and not just take off here and there,
Yeah,
just
yeah. Cook good
so
food. I mean, I'm imagining your house, but this is how it is here too. Like cook good food, you're hanging out with your pets, you cook good foods for yourself, you get all comfy, you can wear some like relaxing dresses or something,
yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And right now, and you're doing all this creative work. I mean, you have so much creative work flowing right now with this poetry and
Yeah,
show. So,
yeah. Been wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you again. Have a great
Yeah, thank you.
weekend. Are you
Yeah,
coming to Flagstaff at all this weekend or this
um,
week or
I might not
anything?
come up this week. Or I don't. I might. I'm going into my full detox now. So I've had 4 weeks of like letting go of foods, and so this week is when I start
Mm,
the full detox. Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, probably a good thing just to stay home then and yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, it's a little easier because I two of my meals are shakes, detox shakes, so that's a little easier in some ways than cooking these
Yeah.
vegetable meals for myself. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's but I'm also concerned about detox, needing to have the rest and stuff. I've been like, I'm going to take all this rest, and I have been very typically Sydney, like I take one thing off my plate and then I put another thing on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, I hope that you will give yourself some downtime and I'm just so impressed that you're sticking with this diet and this detox and
oh,
hopefully
thank you.
it
It's
will help
going
you
really
feel
well. Yeah.
good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Yes. Yeah, I'm
Awesome.
feeling good. And so
Good.
thank you. Yeah.
All righty. Well, I'll
Okay.
talk to you soon.
I'll
Call me
text
if
you
you get up
soon.
and call me if you get up to flag.
Okay, I will. I'll do
Okay.
that.
All
You
right.
have a good evening. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.